Welcome to the official Ronnie Landis podcast show, where you learn to upgrade the human experience through natural nutrition, lifestyle design, and consciousness engineering. This is no ordinary health or personal growth podcast, and Ronnie Landis is definitely no ordinary host. Ronnie Landis is an integrative nutritionist, transformation coach, and human behavioral specialist. He brings on some of the world's leading thought leaders to deliver to you the most cutting-edge information and unique perspectives so you can create the life of your dreams. Get ready to receive your upgrade in all you believed was possible, starting now.
Welcome to another edition of the official Ronnie Landis Show, and I am your host, Ronnie Landis. Before we dive headfirst into today's groundbreaking and perspective-altering episode, I want to share a 60-second audio with you explaining my digital holistic nutrition certification program, the Holistic Health Mastery Program. This is a brand new recording, and I'm really excited to share it with you, so indulge me for 60 seconds and enjoy.
Welcome to Holistic Health Mastery, the master's class of natural nutrition. This unique online certification program offers unparalleled wisdom on health, living foods, detoxification, longevity, and personal empowerment. Access a curriculum designed to offer far beyond the traditional teachings of nutrition, merging ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science, all delivered through an easy-to-use platform. Study each lesson at the comfort of your own home, on any device. Access over 70 video lessons, and start from anywhere in the program. You are in control of the pace, where even a daily 20 to 30-minute investment is enough to complete the course within 6 months. Once you're ready, take the quiz, and you're on your way to be certified as a Holistic Health Master. In addition, you'll have access to extra features, such as monthly student support calls and an online community of students and masterminds actively discussing and sharing insights to support your education. It's time to invest in yourself and in future generations to come. Join the new leaders of natural nutrition and become a significant part of building a new paradigm in health and consciousness.
So there you have it. That is the Holistic Health Mastery Program, and I'm so excited to continue to share this amazing opportunity with people all over the world. We have over 200 plus students from all over the world, and it's constantly growing. The feedback that I get on this is just really amazing, beyond my original expectations. So if you want to find out more information about this, you want to get in more details, you want to review the curriculum, or you're just ready to enroll right now, go to holistichealthmastery.com. And if you enter in the coupon code RONLEE, that's Ron Lee, you're going to get 10% off your enrollment fee, which can be pretty significant depending on which plan you choose for yourself. Again, that link is holistichealthmastery.com. Use the coupon code Ron Lee. Okay, so let's get into today's episode. And I have to speak somewhat slower than I often do. Usually, I feel like I have a really rapid pace of vernacular, but in this particular introduction, I am purposely slowing myself down because this is no ordinary conversation. This individual that you are about to hear is an ordinary human being. I mean, none of the guests are, right? Everyone is unique, but this guest in particular stretches the boundaries of the human mind and the limitations that are somewhat imposed upon us by society, by our parents, by our religious leaders, our politicians, our teachers, and our own expectations and standards. However, there are certain human limitations that every single one of us considers to be concrete. We consider the laws of physics and gravity to be pretty concrete, right? If you jump off a building and you fall a certain level of stories and you hit the ground, you're probably going to die, or you're at least going to fall down, right? That's a pretty well accepted notion, well, I have to say that over the years of studying this guest's material, and not really his material, but just his life journey, my belief systems have basically been dissolved. I realize in my journey that there is no black and white to life. There is literally nothing you can think of that is all or nothing, that is completely black and white. There is always a gray to everything. In this conversation, in this example, the demonstration of this man, the life that he has lived, and what we are going to talk about is possibly the most obvious sign of what I call the X factor. The X factor in life is essentially the anomaly that is unexplainable. It's undescribable. It's undefinable. You can't put it into a box. If you try to explain it, your mind won't be able to get a handle on it. It's irrational in nature, and it tells us something about the nature of reality. It tells us that in order to produce a miracle, we have to get out of the rational mind, and we have to defer to irrationality. We have to start opening up to all possibilities, no matter how much they stretch our perception of reality and what's possible. We basically have to get out of belief systems altogether. This man, his name is Genesis Sunfire. Genesis Sunfire is what many people might consider to be a living breatharian. Now, that's not the most accurate title to kind of label him as, especially at this point in his journey, as he will let you know about through our interview. But just to give you a little synopsis on his journey, he has spent over 17 years as on a path of self-realization, and he started as a fruitarian, meaning that about 17 years ago, he started eating nothing but fruit and was guided entirely by intuition. He had no knowledge of nutrition, no knowledge of raw foodism, no knowledge that there were actually other raw foodists and breatharians out there in the world. He thought that he was the only person doing this because he was literally guided to a shopping market one day based entirely on intuition, and all he wanted to do was eat fruit. And from that moment on, he became a fruitarian, and for many years he only ate fruit. And then from there, he became a liquidarian, a watertarian, and then eventually cracked a code of metabolism, a metabolic riddle where he got off food and water altogether for I think about 3 years or so. As he discusses in this interview, he was literally a breatharian. Now, he'll explain why breatharianism is not really it's not really the best accurate description of the lifestyle that he's led, but it's incredibly fascinating nonetheless. And this was such an incredible conversation that we actually went almost 2 hours. We went 3 minutes shy of 2 hours into this journey, because it doesn't just stop at this idea of breatharianism. It goes much deeper, and it takes many twists and turns. And all I can say is just get ready. In order to really listen to an interview like this, you basically have to shut off any judgments that you might have about anything that I have just said right now. You have to just shut it off and just take this 100% as entertainment value. Take it as just somebody sharing their story. You got to get out of belief systems about everything and just become completely open to everything. You don't have to buy into it. You don't have to believe it. You just have to become open to it and just take it as entertainment. Like you're about to go on a ride for the next 2 hours, and just so prep yourself mentally and emotionally and just get ready to enjoy the ride, because we're about to jump in for the adventure into the mind of one of the most unique beings walking this planet right here in this day and age, Mr. Genesis Sunfire. Enjoy. Welcome to the show, Genesis Sunfire.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh man, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's an absolute honor to be talking with you and for you to have me on your podcast. It really is. It's about time.
It is about time. We had just connected here and there over the years on Facebook, and as you know, that I've been following your work and your experience and your journey over the last 5 years, ever since I became aware of the experience that you have undergone, and you being more vocal and sharing it with the world on the internet. And I just really, we have so much area to cover, but I'm so excited. Obviously you already know, like, I'm so excited to just talk with you. I've shared that with you before we got on, that it's almost like I feel like a kid in a candy shop.
Hey, join the club. I'm as excited as you are to actually talk to you.
I really appreciate that. I think the reason I'm so excited is because you represent something to me that I've always known was real, but I had never really seen it completely, like, presented in such a real, grounded, no BS kind of way. I know you like to say that, like, this is BS, that's BS. The way that and I actually really appreciate that level of boldness that you have. And for the audience listening, we're going to take a journey in this conversation. That's how I want to go about this dialogue between us, is that we're going to take a journey, because this is not an ordinary interview or an ordinary conversation. This is a topic that is very unique, but it's your experience.
But you know what? It is, Ronnie. It's a very ordinary conversation. The problem is that us as a culture in this raw food movement, fasting movement, whatever you want to call it, we're the ones that are off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying to you?
I do.
Yeah. I'm probably going to burst a few bubbles and stuff like that, but this should be this conversation shouldn't even be taking place. It's the sheer fact that us as a culture, us as a society, and as a subculture with the whole raw food, fruitarian, fasting movement, we are the ones that are off. And this is the inconvenient truth that I bring a lot of the times. You're probably thinking, shit, I shouldn't have on the show now.
I like what you just said. This is the inconvenient truth, is that, just that phrase right there, what you just said, like, it's a pattern interrupt, right? Like, even when it comes to raw food, like, for a lot of people, that idea, when I talk to people about, raw foodism and the idea of even eating living foods, uncooked foods, I notice the connotations and the interpretations and triggers that people have. And they're like, oh my God, no, I can't do that. Or this person said that's not good for my blood type or whatever. And it's like, okay, then we really can't have this conversation.
but check this out. If we're eating living foods, how can we still be vegan? You know what I mean? Look at the words there, living foods. If it's living food, how can we be vegan? I mean, that's how deep I take it.
Yeah.
You know? And again, that's how, to me, off we are as a subculture with the whole fruitarianism and dry fasting and water fasting and raw food, all those things within this mainstream culture. You know what I mean? We're not so holier than thou as we would like to think we are.
Right. So do you feel that it's really the way that we segregate ourselves from one another through using labels and definitions?
Oh, exactly. That's actually been my total downfall, which we'll probably get to in the show. But I have always ran away from labels, and I've never known why. It's just never anything that's been really comfortable with me. You know what I mean? Because it's like identity and labeling, and people try to belong to something as a group of people, and then once you get into a group, the whole thing's corrupted because this person wants to be the top dog. Yes. And whatever they say, goes. Mm-hmm. And then you're either a sheep or a follower. Well, a sheep or a follower. You know what I mean? You're either a leader or a sheep. Or shall I say a shepherd or a sheep? You know what I'm saying to you? And the whole thing gets corrupted, and people forget about themselves. They neglect themselves by being followers. And that's what I've always tried to tell people is don't follow me. Don't put me up on a pedestal, because at the end of the day, if you're spending time doing that, then that's time that you're not spending looking after yourself and looking after your own emotional state, looking after your own detaching from the ills of society, you know? Because let's face it, the vast majority of us have got mental health problems that we cannot deal with in the mainstream society, in the mainstream framework, because it's medication, you know, and it's all those things. So that's the whole labeling thing for me is like kryptonite. It really is.
Yeah. I get that feeling from you, and I think that's what originally sparked such a fascination. It wasn't just the fact that you have been on this breatharian path, and we're going to talk about that and break down what that actually means to you, because I find that to be way more fascinating when you actually explain your perspective based on your long-term experience. I find that really, really fascinating, but that's what really caused me to be interested in what you were sharing, was not so much about the idea of breatharianism, but was who you are and how you're not trying to put yourself on a pedestal. I noticed that other quote-unquote leaders or quote-unquote gurus that are into fasting practices, that are into minimalism or naturalism, whether it's by their design or it's just when you have a lot of people following your work, they put you up on a pedestal because they want to follow someone. They don't want to necessarily lead their own life. It does become like a slippery slope, and their message sometimes gets diluted or corrupted, as you say. And that's the feeling that I got from you, was like, wow, this guy, not only is his message pretty amazing, but really to me it's a type of authenticity that feels uncorruptible, almost like when you think of like Batman, like it's like a symbol that is actually incorruptible. And I don't want to put you on a pedestal. I'm just saying that's what my feeling was that resonated with you.
I think we all need acknowledgement and we all need recognition. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the first one to say that. But I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like once people get in a group, man, and I think it's a bit of everything. It's a bit of business. It's a bit of marketing. It's a bit of people putting you up on a pedestal. Yes. It's a bit of ego. It's a whole bunch of ego. And I can tell you, I've got an ego the size of a damn mountain. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of skill to navigate your way through being a public person under all the scrutiny. And you know, even the scrutiny alone can drive you to change as a person. You know what I'm saying? To divert your vision.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And one of the things that I'm not sure about now, but one of the things that I used to work really hard on back in the day when I was out there in the public was to try to be friends. Was I just wanted to be a nice guy doing this thing, whatever it was, whether it was the fruitarian or the liquidarian or the fasting. I just wanted to be a nice guy. I wanted to grow as a person. I didn't want the diet to be the main focal point of who I was as a person. You know what I mean? I think that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make in this whole thing is to make the diet the focal point. At the end of the day, for me, the diet is like, once you get all the detox out of the way, blah, 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 the diet is like a fraction. It's a blip on the radar. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not.
I just thought it was so funny what you're saying, because this is a constant theme that shows up in many of these interviews, because I bring on people that are, they're leading thinkers in the field of health and that have been down that path of like going through dogmatic and fundamental diet or even religious, spiritual kind of circles. And I
Right.
bring this idea up a lot because it was one of the things that really bothered me when I was in my first year of being in the raw food community, because I thought I thought it was like, oh, everyone's really nice. Everyone is really heart-centered. Everyone is really all about supporting each other. And then eventually I realized, because of the internet, I was like, oh my God, like there's a lot of people that are really psychologically and emotionally
Damaged.
damaged, and somehow they're using this raw food message or this other diet message as a way to spread their vitriol.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying that for years because I the same thing, same path. I realized that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to talk to these people because you just don't know what you're getting into. And I realized the less food that you eat, the worse it gets. You know what I mean? Once you go through all the subcultures, the ones that eat the least are the worst. That's where the vast majority of the damaged people are. And I to this day, I still haven't worked out how it happens, how it goes. But I know there's a lot of and I used to say this with the whole breatharian thing, is that, you've got to be really careful who you're talking to, because you're merged in there with people with eating disorders, anorexics that are trying to attach themselves to the breatharian, the fasting, because that's their little avenue, their little excuse. Instead of, when they're confronted with the doctors, instead of saying, yeah, you know what, you got me, they can now say, oh, I'm doing breatharianism like this guy, Genesis Sunfire.
So then they bunch you up in that.
Yeah, and I become public enemy number one. That's happened. That's happened many a times. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't know what the other guys get. From what I've heard, they never used to get the grief that I used to get.
Mm.
I used to get the letters, you know what I mean, from people, from doctors or people claiming to be doctors, saying that, oh, there's this girl in a hospital bed because of you. She wants to be just like you. You know
Right,
what I mean? Stuff
but
like that. I used to get that back in the day.
because, and that's so interesting, because it's like that has nothing to do with you, because you don't tell people to do this. You're actually quite the opposite. It's just somebody
Yes.
else. It's because of them, right? Like we have to
Yes.
take personal responsibility, and I think that's another challenge with being a public figure, especially in a health world, especially with the lifestyle that you've led, is people are not responsible enough oftentimes to actually, to I don't know, to practice something like this.
No, and the worst thing is, Ronnie, is that nobody wants. It's what I found, from back in the day, is that nobody really wants to learn. They just want to
Thank
claim
you.
it.
Thank
They
you
just want
for
to claim
saying
it.
that. Yes.
And when they find that they can't do it, they want to stretch the definition to suit them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
man.
and that's been my beef with the whole breatharian thing, because I went into the breatharian thing totally no idea. I just went off of a feeling, and I was told that, oh, you want to be a breatharian. And I was like, okay, is that what it is? Okay. And then, and you know, and before you know it, I was the poster boy for the whole thing. So it's like you say, it's a very slippery slope. A very slippery slope.
I thank you for clarifying that. That's a really important point. And now I feel like this is a great opportunity to go into this area, because the audience listening to this message, they are what I would consider a very sophisticated and eclectic combination of people from all over the place. But people that have followed my work tend to be more grounded and more practical thinkers, and just people that are really interested and open to new ideas.
Beautiful.
So, can you please share with us?
So I can talk as crazy as I want, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah. They're probably the people that are the best type of people for it.
All right.
So this is how I want to frame this question. I want to know how this path unfolded for you. Now, I know much more details about the path you've walked just simply because of the research into your experience over the last few years. But the audience listening likely has no idea simply how this lifestyle you've lived is even possible, and would really benefit from understanding the 17 plus year process that you've undergone to get to where you're at now. Because it's not like it happened a couple of years ago, right?
So you're talking about from Breatharian upwards?
Yeah, like to give people an idea
Right.
of like how
Right.
you started this and how it's unfolded for you.
This it started off with the whole Breatharian thing. I was in Bristol. I was in Bristol. I was doing a college course, and I just felt, I was having a ball just eating crap. Just eating crap. I was having a blast. You know what I mean? And there came a point though when I was at college where I just and imagine, I'm going to set this scene as I'm in my room. One morning, I'm in my room and I'm thinking, man, I just don't feel good, I just feel really crap. And I literally, you know, when you're of the mindset of I'm going to eat shit and die, you just think, oh, you know what, I'll just have something and I'll feel all right. You know what I mean? But this time I just didn't want anything. So that's how the whole fruitarian thing came about, was because all I wanted to do for some reason was to eat fruit. So I went out on my trusty bike to the local, the big cultural, West Indian market, got all these imported fruits, and came back home, and I just tore them up. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I feel totally better. It was like an instant fix, So I thought, well, if I feel this good now, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. you know? And that's what I did. And it was the same. It was exactly the same thing. So I thought, you know what? Let me just keep this going. So I just kept it going. Nobody told me about the detox. Nobody told me about the detox. So of course, after about 5-6 days, the detox hit. I was totally floored. There was no cleansing. There was no. I didn't know anything about that. There was no spiritual meditation. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew was this damn thing's made me sick. And that was it. So I went back to cook food, and lo and behold, I felt shit again. Went back to the fruitarian, the fruits, felt better again. You know what I mean? So that's how the whole fruitarian thing started. And we're talking like years beyond that now. We're talking getting into the liquid air.
So it sounds like you were on fruit for a couple years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, in those years, trial and error, detox is kicking my ass. I'm falling. I'm going back to cook food. I'm going back to the fruits. You know, the level of knowledge, education, consistent information is virtually zero. I'm doing this by myself. All right, nobody's got any faith in me. I'm going on to the raw boards, the raw food boards, and I'm getting slated. I'm getting attacked just by saying fruitarian. And that was basically my life for the whole time, just getting attacked the whole entire time.
Okay.
There was no, back in those days, there was no support for fruitarian.
But there was
You know what I mean?
but there kind of was like this raw food subculture.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And there, there was fruitarians scattered around, but they were literally dwindling. You know what I mean? The little group cliques they were dwindling because everybody was going to the everybody was getting scared of attacked. You know what I mean? And there was, after a while, there was only the few of us, the Doug Grahams, me, David Klein, of that time. You know what I mean? There was only the few flying the flag for fruitarianism.
This is really interesting, and it brings me personally back to like a lot of the more historical accounts of raw foodism that I really got into, going back to like the natural hygiene studies and like Herbert Shelton and Johnny Love Wisdom and back into like Ann Wigmore and Victoris Kolsvinskas, which was the first time that I even heard of the term breatharian, by the way, is when I read that book, The Survival in the 21st Century.
Right.
And then I got introduced into the idea of fasting and water, like juice cleansing, and then liquiditarianism, which is the next step for you, right?
From fruitarianism, yeah.
Okay. How did that go for you? What was that transition like?
Oh, from fruitarianism transitioning to liquidarianism, because you have to understand that I was maybe 3 years. I would say, anyway, for some time I was eating less and less and less. So it wasn't like 1 month I decided, or one day I decided. It was like a transition, literally a transition, very slow transition of eating less and less and less. And that's how that happened. But at that point, when you've done the detox work, you've done the cleansing, it's easy and it's beautiful. It really is. It's a different ball game. From the fruitarianism, I always say that was the hardest, because that was the physical work. And if nobody tells you about the cleansing, doing internal cleansing, the saltwater flushes, and just cleansing your ass off, it's along with the mental health issues that most of us have got, it's a nightmare, Ronnie. It's a nightmare. And even now a lot of people don't face these things. They don't get the information. They don't educate themselves on themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? To understand what they're going to face when they actually do decide to take the plunge and get off the drugs, get off the cooked food. Because what you put in has to come out. And what comes out is what's already in. You know what I mean? So whatever emotional shit is in there, it's going to come out big time once you get off the cooked food. One thing I want to say here is that, fruits get a lot of the credit. They get a lot of the glory. But to me, fruits are just doing their own thing. Fruits are just teasing us into spreading their seeds. You know what I mean? It's an exchange. My thing is that the body, man, once you get off cooked food, period, your body's gonna kick in.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
This, I don't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to say that this is where I really was wanting to start going into with you, is that your perspective on this subject is it's so much different, but it's so refreshing than what you typically hear in like the esoteric and spiritual circles about prana and love and light and
right,
just meditating
right,
on God's light in a closet or on the
right.
Himalayas or something. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, but like I still, we still have a life to live in these physical bodies. So you bring in this whole thing of being an athlete, and I think that's where I connect with you too, because I grew up as an athlete as well. And you talk about the body being the deal. It's not even about the diet. Like I think like even when you talk about fruitarianism, immediately what comes to mind is that you're stripping away the excess calories and the all the other stuff that the
exactly,
dense material the body has to use energy to digest and metabolize and try to do something with. You're actually
exactly,
freeing the body up to be like a free energy device, right?
exactly. And that's also symbolic emotionally too, mentally.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, once you reach a point where you can understand that your body is actually in charge and you got to surrender to your body with all your mental health issues
Wow.
or whatever's going on or whatever crap's inside, emotional crap's inside, you've got to surrender to the body. And the body, you got to serve yourself. You know what I mean? And to me, that's where it all starts.
Mm.
It's where all this love crap comes in, because you got to love yourself enough to serve yourself, to surrender and serve yourself. And that's, to me, that's where the truth is. When you can actually stop and listen to your own universe tell you what's wrong and what's going on and what you need to do to fix it and bring balance.
Mm. So be your
You know
own
what I'm saying?
guru.
To be your own universe, man. To be your
Yeah,
own
I
universe and
like
understand
that.
that you are a god of that universe or a
Mm.
goddess of that universe or whatever you want to call it, but you are the head honcho.
Right.
You are the guardian of this body we call a universe, or I call a universe, my personal take on it. You know what I mean? So that's why I say the fruits, they take all the glory, man. The body just sits there and like, well, fucking hell, you know what I mean? I've been doing all this the whole time, and the fruits come along and get all the glory. You know what I mean? Which is
Right.
okay, but I don't want to wear I love fruits T-shirt when my body's slaving away doing the business for me. You know what I mean? I want to
Mm.
give my body the credit. You understand? It's like when you want to go church and you want to give God the credit. That's what I want to do. My body is a church, and I want to give me as a God. I want to give my temple the credit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And we don't often do that, do we? We oftentimes
Oh,
we overlook our own capacity for greatness and our own capacity for self-healing and direct our attention to an outside source to heal us. That's why we have quote unquote healers to do the work for us, but we
yeah.
don't often, like, I love what you said. You said surrender to the body, and it's like I've actually never heard someone say that. I've heard people say surrender to God, surrender to the divine, which I understand that, but I'm living in this biological vehicle or instrument called a body, and this is my body, and if I am a
Mm.
particle of God, then I'm that particle living in this body. Therefore, I feel like I need to respect the body more and give it more
Exactly.
credit.
You hit the nail on the head again, Ronnie. I'm pretty sure I've got mental health, man. I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody's got mental issues to a degree. And I can say this is because I've never gotten support for it. I've had to work it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've had to work it out, man. I'm a black guy. When I was playing rugby, I used to be quite athletic looking, and people used to cross the road when they saw me. Especially with the tattoos now. It wasn't always cool. You know what I mean? It wasn't
Right.
always cool to be black, and I was always judged. I was always judged in a society that I could just never make sense of. You know what I mean? When you're a kid and you love everything and you're faced with hostility for what you see as no reason, how do you deal with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, it's a lot of us are left to our own devices to figure things out. And, you know, thank God, for me in particular, I came into this whole Fruitarian thing not knowing squat. And you know what? That's probably what saved my ass. Because if I came into it knowing what some of these guys know or being told what the gurus have been told, or knowing what the gurus have told them, I would have had everything. But because I wasn't indoctrinated, I was able to listen to my intuition, and I realized, man, I've got quite a good gut instinct. So I went with it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a great dude. I'm not all that. It's just I learnt in all my mental health shit how to deal with it, how to adapt, how to handle myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I can tell you, Ronnie, when I was getting attacked, I was throwing down with the best of them. You know what I mean? I wasn't talking love and light shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was effing it and blinding it and expletive after expletive, you know. So I'm not that dude. I'm not that spiritual, you know, articulate. I'm not that dude. I just learnt how to come into something brand new, fresh out the box, and adapt. And I knew how I felt. I mean, if you understand, I came into this probably 3 weeks or a month before I went to the raw forums, discussion boards, talking about fruitarianism, and everybody came with their fears, projecting their fears on me. Oh, you need greens. Oh, you need water. Oh, you need this. You need that. Or you're going to die after 2 days, 3 weeks. And I'm like, well, I've already been doing it some time and I haven't died yet. So that's bullshit. As we say, you know, that's bullshit. So, you know, that's how I came into it.
And so to bring it back full circle to the original question, my understanding, at least the last time that I heard an interview from you, which was a couple of years ago, it had been a 17-year process that you had undergone from raw food and fruitarianism to living a quote unquote no food and no water lifestyle. Is that correct?
I think it's maybe a little bit more, maybe 19, something like that. It's been,
okay,
nearly 2 decades.
So it wasn't like, you know, you had this aha eureka moment and then in a couple years your body and mind acclimated to this. This is a long discipline. This is the word I want to use for people. Disciplined process.
I don't know, to be fair, I don't know if it was that disciplined in the beginning, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know where the hell I was going. To be quite honest with you, Ronnie, I just thought it was all about fruitarianism. And I thought, you know, back in those days, in my first week, I thought, wow, I'm a fruitarian. That's it. There's no evolution after that. It's just, I'm just going to eat fruit, tons of it, and everything's going to be cool. I didn't know anything about the evolution, so it came as quite a shock to where I was going. And when I hit the liquidarian stage, I was like, you know, when I got to the liquidarian stage, I was kind of getting an idea as to where this was going, and I was saying to myself, you know what, there's no way on this planet I'm going to be doing that Breatharian malarkey. You know what I'm saying? I was like, no effing way. And guess what happened? You know, I ended up going there. So it's, I don't know if I can really say, because you have to understand, in between all those times, I'm going back and forth. You know, I did, one thing I do remember clearly is doing 3 years on orange juice. You know what I mean? And those days were beautiful. And I had my seasons down pat. I had it all locked down. My system, my little system, you know? And it was awesome, man. It was awesome. But then it's like, you know, I'm not going to even pretend that it was all plain sailing because, you know, life gets in the way. I was married at the time. I had a daughter. And, you know, things weren't always great. Things weren't always good. There were stresses. You know what I mean? Life gets in the way. And there is no instruction book with this Breatharian thing. That when this happens, this is what you do. You got to adapt and figure it out. And sometimes I didn't make the best choices. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
And I don't think enough people are as transparent or can actually turn around and say that because it might cost them a few fans or it might cost them a business or it might cost them credibility. You know what I mean? But I didn't come into this thing for that. I came into this thing for me. To be a better person, you know what I'm saying? So I don't, in my mind, I think part of my mental health issue as well is that I don't understand that. I can't make sense of not saying what I want to say. You know what I'm saying to you? I can't make sense of not telling the truth.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many people have tried to stop me from telling the truth. You know what I mean? And that makes it even worse for me. You know what I'm saying to you? So, that can be quite a concern, you know, when you're in this field, when you're a public figure, because you're pissing on people's parade.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They want to lift you up as this highly disciplined person, but you know another truth, or to you that's nothing.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It would appear to be, I guess it appears to be a highly disciplined process, just from the outside looking in. But for you, you experience it as something completely different.
No, you know what it was? It can be if you know what you're doing.
Okay.
You know, if I was to go back around again, it would be a highly disciplined process because I would know exactly what to do and I would be able to stick to it to the letter. You know what I'm saying? And I would flourish and I would be kicking down doors and I would be getting places. But back then, I was a student, man. I was a student. And I think something like the whole Breatharian thing is that it's deep that you will always be a student. And I don't like using the term Breatharian because I feel like that is a complete scam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's talk about that, by the way. Like, what is that term? What is the or, you know, there's so much malarkey, as you say, about this whole breatharian thing. And to say breatharianism is a scam is interesting coming from you. So I think people will be really interested. What do you mean by that?
Right. The whole thing I mean by that is, because when I say it, people say, oh, yeah, he admits that he was fooling people now. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the term breatharianism and the culture of breatharianism, to me, is a scam because of what I've seen and what I've experienced and what I get back from other students. You know, I mean, if you ingest saliva, how can you be a breatharian? How can you say you don't eat and drink? If your body's producing, again, we get back to the body. If your body's producing 1.5 to 2 liters of saliva a day, how can you then turn around and say, oh, I don't eat and drink? This is why when people call me a breatharian, I used to cringe. Even before I realized that. You know what I'm saying to you? And this thing about prana, why are we going through detox? And why is it so, why are so many people struggling? Because there should be enough prana to go around many times over. For people to just be like, wow, okay, make the switch immediately.
Right, right.
If this thing about prana, then we wouldn't need to make the switch. We could just all eat cooked food if this prana thing was what it was.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? If this prana thing was so big and badass, but we're still getting sick.
Right.
People still have mental health issues. People still have severe detoxes sometimes. You know, there's bless them. There's people on medication that are trying to heal themselves through this. And it's a nightmare because they're not getting the education. And for some of these people, they're not getting to the experts, or they can't afford the experts. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
So the whole breatharian thing is failing people. And in my day, breatharian was all about the breathing.
Mm.
All you do is breathe. You know what I mean? And no, that's okay, because in air there's liquid. Within air there's chemicals. But the thing is, what I was learning at the back end of it all was that it's not enough. You know what I'm saying to you? Because I was realizing that shit without saliva. You know, because I was learning my trade in the heat.
Mm.
You know what I mean? In the heat, and I had to learn. Okay, I got to stay in the shade. I can't go out times of the day because I need. You know, I had to learn my trade in the heat, man. Knowing that, oh, okay, if I'm anywhere near the sea, I need to go in the sea. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
To bring my temperature down.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go in no building. I have to go into the sea. You know what I mean? If I'm to really do this food free and water free thing, I need to go into the sea when it's hot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where nature comes in.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned about the connection between nature, man. Nature and this whole food free thing. You got to connect to nature. You got to go back to the body. You got to go back to natural things. You know what I'm saying to you? And even to some degree, the cleansing is unnatural. The internal cleansing. You know what I mean? Because after a certain while, it don't work. You know what I mean?
It's like all the cleansing protocols and programs that we do are only there to mitigate the damage and the obstructions that are in the body from an unnatural upbringing.
Exactly. I mean, they're bloody helpful. Don't get me where it's actually harming you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And these things are band-aids. And you know, let me take it further. You know, you get these ancient things, ancient practices, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if these ancient practices still have cleansing methods, then that means those ancient people were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing to have a cleansing method.
Right.
You know what I'm saying to you? So they weren't that good either. Because we tend to lift up the ancients, right? The ancient practices as being, oh, perfect, natural solutions. But listen, if they had a cleansing protocol, then they were also doing something that they knew they shouldn't be doing.
Mm. They also were living in a certain environment.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's why I like the guys like Moses and Jesus and people like that would just fast for 40 days.
They're right. Just as simple.
You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't do a saltwater flush from what I know. They would just fast for 40 days. You know what I'm saying?
You know, this brings up an interesting question that I want to pose to you, and I think a lot of people listening will probably really appreciate this. What is the difference between what you might call authentic breatharianism and just blatant starvation?
Ah, bloody good question. Doing it too fast. Doing the breath. I don't even want to call it breatharian, man, because it's just
it's not even the right term anymore.
It's giving it power, but
yeah,
let's call it that. All right, because to me, I'm still going off the premise that it's a scam, right? So the whole breatharian thing The difference between an authentic practice is that with the breatharian, you got to look at the definition, because the definition has been stretched many times over the years by different people.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. That's the difficulty of this. It's not that clean cut. But I know that most people, and I'll probably get crucified for this, but it's true. Most people go too fast. Most people stretch for definition. Most people call it breatharianism, but what they're doing is liquidarianism, or their intermittent fasting, right?
Yeah.
Because they can't keep it up, but they still want to call themselves breatharians and be in that circle. They want to get the attention. You know, these people, some of these people do these things for different reasons. Everyone's got their own agenda. And what I found is that most of the people that use the term breatharian, they're in it for the wrong reasons. They're in it for either acclaim, or they're chasing somebody else's fairy tale. You know what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
And
like a fantasy.
what was I going to say? Yeah. And basically, breatharianism, if you get away from the actual definition, breatharianism is based more on doing it in a spiritual way.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you sit down and you meditate and you connect with whatever. You know what I mean? And I found these people to be the most dysfunctional. Dysfunctional, ungrounded people on the fucking face of the planet. And I say that with some passion, because I've had some interactions with these guys, you know? There's only a couple of these so-called high-profile breatharians that I actually get on with and that I actually can talk without bringing up the word breatharian, and that's Oberon, Victor Triviano, on occasion Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, and to be a bit rebellious, those are the guys that are actually nice to me. And as far as I'm concerned, if they're nice to me, I'm nice to them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're high profile or even breatharian, but you know what I mean? That and you know, that goes towards my experience of the whole breatharian thing being a scam. Because these guys, I'm not going to speak for Oberon, I'm not going to speak for Victor, and I'm not going to speak for Jasmine, but some of these guys, man, they're totally outrageous. Totally outrageous. They're misleading people into believing that they're 100% food free and water free.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that they're happy, and that they're grounded, and that they're sane. That's the nature of this thing. And when you get a group of people with the same kind of mental health issues, that's kind of dangerous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because everybody gets led the wrong way.
Right.
That's why I jumped out of the whole breatharian thing, because some of these people are very destructive. They're very ungrounded. They're very emotionally unstable. I could tell you some stories, man, but I'm not. But just to emphasize the fact that I know what I'm talking about.
Right, and you're not up on a pedestal proselytizing to people about this thing and saying that, you're not telling people that they need to stop eating food, because in your words, you call that starvation.
Yes, you don't do it just like that. You know what I mean? I accidentally took 17 years to do it. And the funny thing was, I was doing it a couple of years before I even told anybody I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to practice it. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to practice it to see if it worked. Is going food and water free possible? Yes. Believe me, it's possible. But it's not permanent in my experience.
Oh, what a good distinction.
Yeah, somebody somewhere may make it permanent, but it's not my experience. And it's not the experience of anybody I know or have ever heard of. You know, even Jesus fasted for 40 days. Moses fasted for 40 days, maybe even more. I'm not really up on the whole religious story stuff. But you know what I'm saying to you? Is it possible? Yes, but not permanent in my experience. And it's not called breatharianism. You know what I mean? To me, if you have to do techniques and shit, then it's not real.
Because it's not just a normal function of your lifestyle.
It's not a normal function or instinct of the body.
Right.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I take it, because I look at the animals. And to me, the animals, man, they got it down. They got it down. You know, if you're hungry enough, you'll eat shit. You know what I'm saying to you? If you're hungry enough, you'll eat shit. You cannot say, I'm never going to eat ever again or drink ever again. Because I know there's times where that saliva dries up. And that's when you're in the crap. But you got to have your wits about you. You got to have your knowledge about you. You can't be spaced out, ungrounded, talking about fairies. That's not going to save you.
A lot of what I'm hearing from you is like it's like a grounded sense of like street smarts, actually. Like
That's what I came in.
Right.
That's what I came in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I came in with, and I've had to adapt. I've had to evolve. And a lot of times, Ronnie, I used to go ahead. I used to be the pioneer of myself and say, okay, let me see what these things are like, because I can't talk shit about it if I don't know what I'm talking about, if I haven't really experienced it. This is what I feel like I want to do. So okay, let me try it. You know, so I would do it. Usually it's about 3 years, you know, getting through the changes, adapting, going through it until I figure out whether I like this thing or not, or whether there's another evolution. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's gone through. I've never looked at someone and said, right, I want to do that because it looks good.
Right.
And then listen to their story. Like so many people talk to me about Jazz Maheen and say, "Oh, I heard Jazz Maheen on the radio interview, and you know."
They want to be like her or something.
They want to be just like her because she talks it up, makes it sound beautiful, but at the end of the day, they're not her.
That's right.
And that's what I try and tell people about me is, you know what? I did what I could do at the time. They don't see the times where I've gone back. They don't see the times where I've struggled. You know what I'm saying to you? They don't see the times where I've wanted to kill myself. Because I'm just so depressed. You know what I'm saying? We've all got problems, man. We've all got issues that we've got to work through, as well as trying to be better people in this diet thing. But the problem is the moment we get off that drug called cooked food, everything's going to come, the floodgates are going to open.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's where the whole breatharian thing becomes a scam, is because some of these guys, and I know I'm going to get shit for this, but some of these gurus, man, they're misleading the people big time. They're misleading the people big time. And the problem is a lot of these supporters know it, but they keep it quiet.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what gives the lifestyle, the food-free, dry fasting lifestyle a bad name. You know, because I've had, you know, back in the day, I was kind of one foot in the mainstream and one foot in the new age with this breatharian thing. And I don't think there was anybody as mainstream as I got with it. So I know that the mainstream's looking in and thinking, what a bunch of fools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, it's being misrepresented. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. I mean, I can get that people want to, that everyone, it's like I might support Manchester United, right? You might support LA, whatever they call them, soccer team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, Manchester, I'm Manchester United all the way through. Manchester United could kick your team's ass any day of the week. And no matter what Manchester United do, they could be bottom of the league. I'm always going to be rooting for Manchester United, right? That's what it is. People pick an identity, what they want to attach themselves to, and no matter what happens, they're rooting for that thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Win or lose, doesn't matter.
Exactly. And if I come along and say breatharianism is a bunch, it's a scam and it's fake, even if they know it, they're going to justify it.
Right.
And they're going to come back at me with an attack. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do.
And it's not truth. It's not truth. I don't care what identity people want to attach themselves to. I really don't. But when I cut what time I getting me talking about they're sick, they're that, and this breatharian said this, and this breatharian, they paid this amount of money to go to this breatharian's workshop, and they came back messed up, and now they can't do this, and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's when I'm like, man, this ain't fair.
Right. Sounds like you've kind of had to shoulder the burden of that whole culture.
Yes, before I even knew what it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I was going through my 3 years exploration. So, and when by the time I did find out what it was all about, I was so close to a breakdown. It was unbelievable, because I was trying to, the pressure to now be what the public sees me as was immense. To not let these people down. You know, a mess. I'd be stinking. I'd be tired. I'd be exhausted. You know what I'm saying? People would be like, oh, is that him? Wow, I thought he was better than that.
Mm.
But it was because nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. It's because I was getting burnt out. It's because I was getting exhausted. I was getting depressed again.
Mm.
You know what I mean? People, Ronnie, I would get people asking me, can you walk through walls? Seriously. Can you walk through walls? Because I heard that when you go breatharian, you can walk through walls. When you don't eat or drink, your molecules get telling. They can justify it. They can give me this whole story as to why I should be able to walk through walls. And imagine everywhere you go, you're asking, do you go to the toilet? And you don't know what to say. If you say yes, it's like, oh, well, you must be drinking something then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're constantly being like under a magnifying glass.
Under scrutiny, man. And apparently they know what it is to be a breatharian, but they're not living it themselves.
Right. They
know all about it, but they're not actually living it themselves. And that's what I realized at the end of the day, Ronnie, is that the most knowledgeable people about this can't even do it. So what the hell was I doing? Mm-hmm. Killing myself to do something that nobody else was doing anyway. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, so, I mean,
You still there?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here, and I'm wanting to bring this up to date now, because your experiences, I mean, it's an incredible timeline and experience that you're sharing, and now What is it like for you now? I know some things have changed. Where you've brought back in like juices of some sort. I
Yeah,
saw you with the shaga mushroom and shaga tea.
yeah. It was the chaga that got me through the bad times.
Ah,
It was going, because I still kind of kept up with the fasting. I still kept up with the cleansing protocols, the saltwater flushes, and to be honest with you, all the way through this, apart from 5 years in the very beginning, from 5 years into the whole thing, I've been doing the saltwater flushes, and I can honestly tell you, those are what probably saved my life.
okay.
Those are what probably stopped me from getting burnt out totally. I would have done it. I was food free and water free for 2 to 3 years at one point before nobody even knew about it or me doing it. You know what I mean? And I was doing that in the height of my most stressful period. You know what I'm saying to you? And I had to bring the cleansing back in because I was getting so toxic. And if I can bring this in, Ronnie, is that I've had to surrender throughout this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because how easy it is to say, no, I mustn't do this, I mustn't do that. No, I mustn't let another bit of food or water past my lips. I've had to surrender over the years, man. I've had to learn how to surrender. I've learned how to break down my ego. I've had to learn that, adapt, so I don't kill myself. So I don't end up anorexic. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was I actually, at the time, bringing it up to date, what happened was I met my wife. She saved my ass. I was getting so disillusioned with the whole Breatharian scene, everything, the people that were around me, because, people that could have supported me didn't, people that, you know what I'm saying to you? Just stupid stuff like that. And I just thought, from day one to up to the present moment, I'm like, damn it, man. Ain't nobody helped me. You know what I mean? David Wolf helped me a big time at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say he's probably one of the very few people that ever helped me.
Wow.
That ever was nice, that ever had a conversation, that ever took me in and said, man, how you doing? How are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And he's one of few people to do that. But when I met, at that point, I was down and out, man. I was down and out. People had just wore me out. They had took everything from me. All my hopes, all my dreams, everything. And it's like they chew you up and spit you back out, man. And then it's on to the next person, to the next boy wonder.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying to you? And it messes with your system, man. It messes with your self-esteem, man, because you're there thinking you're helping people, they're your friends, they're your buddies, blah, blah, blah. They believe in you. But then, you know what I mean? They're consuming you. They're consuming you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in an environment where people are consuming me. Because I'm sure you know, Ronnie, because you're pretty much of a celebrity too, is that people see, you're like a little clone for everybody. People see what they want to see in you.
Yeah.
And what you see of yourself is totally different most of the time to what they see.
Oh, yeah.
And what we have to deal with and adapt to is understanding that we can't control that, even if it's something we don't want them to see or to think they see in us. You see a lot of times, well, this person says they're my number one fan, And with what they're saying about me, they don't even know anything about me.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they see of me. You know what I mean? So that used to trip me out a lot. And that's not easy to adapt to, because you wanna go out there and correct everybody, but you can't correct all these millions of minds.
Yeah, you can't chase everyone down and plead your case, right?
Exactly. You know, so with me, that just broke me down, man.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And like I said, it's like when you're in the public eye and you're up there, it's like people, they consume you, man. And it's like nothing's what it seems. So, you know, for me, being who I am, understanding that all I wanted to do was be a nice guy. I didn't want this thing to be who I am. I didn't want this Breatharian thing or the Fruitarian thing to be who I am. Those things were just aspects of me. But it was like nobody really wanted to know the real me.
Mm.
And even when people got the chance to see the real me, they didn't like it. We just didn't blend. We just didn't mix.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like them and they didn't like me. We liked each other as fan and celebrity. You know what I'm saying to you? And I don't like using the word fan.
Yeah.
I hate it. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean?
Yeah. People kind of put themselves in that position, it seems like, too, when they
Yeah.
treat somebody like a celebrity.
Yeah. But then they wouldn't like me even if they got to know me.
Right.
I'm into tattoos. I'm into Dobermans. I'm into Rottweilers. It's a running little things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these people, I wouldn't like them because, you know, maybe they don't like big dogs. Maybe they don't like black dogs. Maybe they have these issues. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're scaredy cats.
Right.
Maybe they let those things block their lives. And that's something I hate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like being around people like that. You know what I mean? So those were the things I was dealing with when you bring it up to date. And, you know, I was like, you know what, by the time, well, when I met my wife, I mean, we moved in with each other within 5 days. I think we were pretty much instant, actually. We knew we were going to get married even before we met. It was that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
And so she kind of like in a way brought you out of that slump and that darkness that you felt you were in.
You know, and she, to whatever I was going through, I could have been the happiest man in the world. I could have been had my shit together so big,
Mm-hmm.
and she still would have eclipsed that.
Mm.
That's just who she was. Not because I was down and out, but that's just who she was. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And you have to understand, no woman was like that for me. No woman was ever good enough. Many had tried, but they just weren't good enough. They couldn't keep up. They couldn't shine bright enough. Whatever it is. Right? But she came now, and she impressed me. And I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying to you? You have to understand, I've had nobody to look up to. I've had nobody to respect. But yet, here this woman was coming into my life like she owned the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I had to submit and I had to surrender and I had to say, well, this might be the one.
Wow.
So anyway, cut a long story short, we got together. We moved in together, and that's all she wrote.
Mm.
That's all she wrote. And then my thing was, you know, and I'm not even sure to this day whether she really knew who I was at that time. I know she'd said that she'd heard of me, and she didn't really know what the whole thing was about. But, you know, I remember I had set in my mind that, okay, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to tell her about the whole Breatharian thing. And I'm just going to say to her that I'm just going to eat shit and die, and that's it. You know what I mean? Because I want to quit this thing. I'm sick and tired of this, doing this, trying to do the right thing. You know what I mean? So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to just eat shit and die. And that's what I did. I did it for about a year, or no, I did it for about shit. I think it was in total about 2 years. And I think the first year was about just. In fact, it was the first 2 months. I think was just about enjoying myself. That was the intention. But then I asked her, "What do you want to do with your life?" And she said, "Well, I want to be fruitarian."
Oh.
And that was like the big screech, the brakes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? To this dream and fantasy that I was just going to jack it all in and quit the whole thing. You know? And then she was so inspiring. And the way she was explaining it, talking about it, I can tell that it was her calling. You know what I mean? So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to have to go in there with her. Because I know what the scene's like. I know it's vultures. I know it's opportunists. I know it's backyard healers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not going to let her go into that. Because that's what I had to do. And because I went through it, she doesn't have to go through it. So I said, you know what? I'm going in there with you. I'm gonna coach you through it. And we're going to have a special arrangement that I coach you through it. And because I know what this thing is, we're going to have to come to a very firm agreement on this. You know what I mean? Otherwise, otherwise it will smash this relationship to pieces. And that's what we did. That's what we did. So we've taken like 3 years to 3 years to transition, and I've come back to liquids, and well, I call it fruitarian, but in that I'm dry fasting and I'm on liquids. And to be honest with you, if I want a melon, I'm going to have a melon. I'm not doing that. I'm a fruitarian thing anymore. You know what I mean? I love the hell out of dry fasting. I really do. That's my bread and butter. That's my bread and butter, and I do that every day. You know what I'm saying? I have a 1 hour. In fact, I have the luxury is having a 1 hour eating window. But generally it's about half an hour or 15 minutes. Depends what I'm having. If I'm having OJ, it's about 15 minutes. And I'll just sip it slow. You know what I mean? And that's my window. The rest of the time I'm dry fasting.
Wow.
You know, again, 9 years, nearly 20 years. You know what I'm saying to you? But it's not like we just said, right, we'll go fruitarian now and we did an instant transition. I had to learn. And here's a funny thing, you know, me and my wife have such a relationship from doing this transition together, and she's still scratching the surface with it. You know what I'm saying? She's still dealing with her stuff, with her mental health. She's still dealing with her physical health. She's still adapting to all of this and all the nuances that this lifestyle and the whole transition brings up. But she has me to coach her through it. You know what I mean? You know, we go through the whole masculine, feminine thing, and I don't know if you know, Ronnie, or if you've had experience with this, but a lot of women tend to have adopted the masculine role.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And for some women, it's just hard to let go. And my wife's been through that. We've had to go through that. You know, we've had to go through a hell of a lot. Because, you know, if you're, shall we say, for want of a better term, your soulmate comes into your life, you know you've got some shit to work out.
Yes.
You know it's not always love and light. You know what I'm saying? You guys got to become a unit. You got to work out your crap together. You got to hold space for each other. You got to support each other through the worst. You got to see their worst. If you want honest, you got to see the worst. You know what I'm saying? That's my philosophy of it. So I generally don't live in this love and light breatharian thing. You know, everything's euphoric, because I know it ain't. So that's where we are. That's where we are now, and that's what I've had to come through. So it's been a total experience in dealing with it with my wife, having another shot at it and dealing with it and helping my wife along too, because it's dealing with a different mind. It's dealing with a different, I'm challenged every day because she's just like everyone else. Give her an inch and she'll take a mile on her worst day, And the detox and the transition will do that to you. Plus, whatever mental health issue you have, it will do that to you. It will bring out the worst. You know what I mean? So that's something that has been very refreshing. It's taught me a lot about people, about coaching people. I have a whole new philosophy and perspective on coaching people. It's not about the food. It's not about that. Before you can even tackle the food, you got to go to someone's emotional space.
Yeah.
You got to go to their parents, who their parents are. You know what I'm saying? If you can figure out who the parents are, then you can predict what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Point.
Because you have to understand, if I tell you to look at yourself, you're going to miss a whole lot of stuff. You're not going to be able to see it because you're looking in the mirror. But if you may be able to say, oh yeah, well we do this, we do that. Yeah, because my dad always does that. Yeah, that's what he's like. But you probably won't relate it to what you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way you think. So I've learned a lot with actually quitting, taking time out, recovering, and doing this again. But from an older and wiser perspective. You know what I'm saying to you? And it's beautiful. I've got to say, it's beautiful. It's so much better. It's so much easier. And in that, Ronnie, people have been receiving me a whole lot different. People have been receiving me with open arms. I'm quick to say this is bullshit or blah, blah, blah. And people are quick to say how negative I am. But that's been my world. You know what I mean? Being a pioneer, you get the crap. But I can honestly say people have been loving on me something. And it's awful.
You know
what I mean?
I'm really happy to hear that. And
I'm happy to say it.
Yeah, I can feel it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so many years it wasn't like that. So many years, because you have to understand when you're doing this so-called Breatharian thing, I was getting everybody coming at me. But, in all those years, maybe one or two people ever stuck up for me. You know what I mean? The good people don't say shit. And that was one of the big, because for nobody. I'm trying to be a martyr here. I made that mistake of being a martyr. I was like, I'm trying to be a martyr here for you. I'm trying to do this for you.
Yeah.
And where are you guys? Where are you guys when I need support? Where are you guys when I need help? And now that was one of the biggest reasons why I quit, was because I genuinely believed there was nobody out there for me, nobody gave a crap, and nobody was going to do anything. You know what I mean? But you got to understand, Ronnie, the good people don't say shit.
Right.
It's what do they say? It's the loudest wheel gets the oil. You know what I mean? The good people, I've learned, don't say crap, man. And they just carry on and turn the other cheek, and they ignore everything, and they think you're going to do the same. But they don't realize that it hurts, man.
Yeah.
They don't realize the frustration, They don't realize that it's hard for a pioneer. They don't realize that it's hard for someone to step out in front ahead of them and take the hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just got fed up with doing it. I just got pissed off with doing it. You know, so now I'm a better coach. I'm a better person. I'm a husband. I would like to say I'm a better son. I'm a better brother.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a better universe for all of this. But it's like, you know, still the journey goes on because like why, you know, and that's beautiful. You stand that it's your own little space, and that's the place where you can be happy. You may not be able to be happy sharing with other people. You may not be able to find a space where you can be around others and be the same happy. You know what I mean? So that's where we're kind of looking at is, okay, we've been chasing this, you know, as individuals, we've both been chasing this thing of, okay, we need to do something that we love. But it's like, okay, what is that?
Yeah.
Because it all involves being in the mainstream. It all involves dealing with people, other minds.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And going through that corruption, the pollution, the egos.
Mm-hmm.
And people won't help you because you're aligned with so-and-so, or because you said this about breatharianism, or you blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's not many people that are actually helping just for the sake of it.
Right.
That's the guy I want to be.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I want to help someone because I can. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to lie to you. I want to make money coaching because I love coaching and I want to do what I love and love what I do. I don't want to be in a 9-to-5 job in some supermarket.
I couldn't imagine you working a job.
I would be going postal, man. I've done it. I've been there, my friend. And it's not me. I know with my mental health stuff, I know I have to be authentic. And I have to be doing what I love and loving what I do. What I do has to inspire the hell out of me.
Yes.
Because ain't nothing else going to make me a better person. There ain't nothing strong enough to make me a better person.
Mm.
So I'm a powerful dude, man. You know what I mean? I'm a powerful dude. So
Yes, you are.
I need you know what I mean? And not everyone knows their power. And that's what me and my wife are working on. I heard the term this day. I was reading a message and somebody was describing us, and it was we're working on our unity, and I thought that was so beautiful.
Mm.
Me and my wife are working on our unity. That is perfect.
Mm.
That's what we're doing. We're working on relationship stuff. We're trying to evolve to become a unit. You know what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yoga's not going to do it. Meditation's not going to do it. But actually going through the trials and tribulations of a relationship as two Aries, we're both Aries, going through the trials and tribulations of our mental health, of you know, clearing out of our purge. That's what's going to do it, man.
Mm.
Because there ain't nothing strong enough. I tell you, my wife is a titan. She is a titan, a true goddess, man. And ain't nothing but a God's going to move her. Nothing. And I'm that God. I'm that man that's going to do it, because she ain't going to do it for nobody else.
Wow.
Nobody else is going to earn her respect. Otherwise, anybody else tries, she'll chew them up and spit them out. She's a powerful woman.
Hmm.
You know that of I won't say my life, but that's the beauty of getting involved in this, how can I put it, man? The whole raw food, the whole fruitarian, the liquidarian, the fasting. You know, there is a beauty in that. Even though most areas are highly polluted, corrupted, I have not met as many beautiful people anywhere else.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I'm saying? My kind of people, like I said, in amongst my kind of people, there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of pollution. But that's where they are, man.
But that's where the light shines in the darkness, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's about, adjusting to that. And I've had a hard time adjusting to that. Because, people will look at me and say, oh, well, you're not New Age, you're black, or you got tattoos. You know what I mean? Or you don't wear robes. You don't put a red dot in your forehead. You're not a Swami. You know what I mean? But I've learned that, you could be talking to Jesus. You could be talking to a road sweeper. And for all you know, you could be talking to the most profound individual on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know.
You don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we have to dissolve all this judgment quicker and quicker, actually.
Man, you know what we need to do? Well, in my opinion, my experience is that we need to look at ourselves, man. If we could just all take care of ourselves and focus on us. And so, people judge don't know where yourself. Are you being a better person? Are you looking at me and reflecting who I really am, or are you just projecting your own emotional instability?
Right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And, me and my wife talk about this all the time because we have to go out into public eye and we're both awkward individuals, We come from that background. But I've probably got a little bit more cool in me than she has. You know what I'm saying? So I can maneuver myself amongst people and not give a shit about what they think about me. In fact, I'm watching you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm looking at how you treat me, and if you're a good person. Yes, I might play the game a little bit too much and make you believe I'm just an idiot. But I'm really watching you to see how you treat me and if you can be trusted.
Yes.
Because in my world, man, it's survival of the fittest. I don't care what anybody says. It's survival of the fittest at the end of the day. I always tell my wife, you just got to make sure you ain't someone's lunch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's that love and light person that doesn't listen, that doesn't want to surrender, that's tagging behind because everything's, they're picking daffodils and daisies and trying to catch butterflies. They're the ones that are going to they're the ones that are going to be someone else's lunch.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to be the victims.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that generally play the victims emotionally.
Yeah, tell me about it, brother. Yeah.
Ronnie, I just opened up a Facebook page for all these people that have said, oh, well, man, we've been looking for you, we've been supporting you. Then I've opened up a page for these people. And I could make it look so pretty with pictures of bliss and euphoric, and I could post all these really positive things. But nobody sees the struggles that we go through here at home, me and my wife.
Yeah.
But to Facebook, I'm doing fantastic. But that's not how I want to live. That's really not how I want to live. It makes me resentful trying to lie like that.
Right. Well, I think that's why I really vibe with you, is because you are real and you are authentic and you're not trying to be the poster boy for any cult or any circle or breatharianism or whatever. Like you're literally just a human being that was called towards a very unique path in the way that I look at it, and that's a miracle. Like you are a walking, talking miracle, and you know.
Man, listen, no, we all are.
That's what I wanted to. I was gonna conclude that thought with saying that maybe there's a better way of me saying that, is that the way that this is my interpretation. I'm not projecting. This is my perspective, is that like all of us, yes, we are all walking, talking miracles, but not all of us answer the call, right? Therefore, not all of us are able to manifest or express that miracle that is life. And so I see you, like, you've answered the call, but you didn't like you said in the beginning of this interview, you didn't choose to be fruitarian or to do any of this, really. It was like an intuitive nudge or something that guided you, and you just said, okay, like, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. About a month before that, I was paying particular attention to guys my age. And you have to understand, I was eating to win it, man. I was eating crap to win it. I was eating crap for the best team on the planet. You know what I mean? I was a champion, and but I was looking. That was creeping up on me, and that's what it was. That was creeping up on me over time, and I was starting to take to looking at guys my age. They all had the gut, right? The gut that goes over their belt,
right?
And they was all miserable. And I thought, why is this resonating with me so much? Why is this getting my attention so much? And then it hit me. You know what I mean? After a month for that, the next day it was like, oh shit, I don't want to. It was literally making me nauseous thinking about eating another mouthful or an apple pie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to make me feel better, just to eat something. Because I used to eat to ground myself, to make for emotional comfort, for comfort food. You know what I mean? And it was just like something said, no man, stop it.
No more.
No more, man. This is actually killing me.
Wow.
It's like my universe said, man, please, I beg you, please. I beg you, please, man, no more.
Wow.
You know, so it was that person at the time where it was like, okay, then what do I do want? What do I want, sorry? And it was like, I want something lighter, more juice. So I thought, man, I want a mango. So I went and got one. It was simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would love to tell this story that it was the clouds opened up, the rays of sunshine came down on my house, and a voice told me, but it was nothing like that. It was just like, I want a mango. So I went out and got one, and it was the best mango I'd ever tasted.
And from that decision, your entire life path was unfolded from there.
Oh, man.
So amazing.
Yeah, that damn mango.
It all started with a mango.
that damn mango seduced me to spread its seed.
Wow, what a metaphor.
Pulled me in, man. Pulled me in.
Wow. Geez. On that note, what an incredible journey. Like I said in the beginning of this wasn't going to be like any ordinary interview. This was going to be a journey. And I feel like after an hour and 30 minutes, I'm sitting here just like, I feel like I've gone through an entire like a journey with you. And I'm so grateful for you sharing your story with all of us.
Man, I just hope it's cleared stuff up, because, I don't have an attachment anymore to the Breatharian thing. I mean, some time ago I had some kind of loyalty to it, but now I know what it's about. Then I don't have, I'm more of the whole primal thing,
Yes.
And I understand that fruits aren't necessarily made for us. Because, if you was to put some cooked food out on the table, some animal's going to eat it. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, they're going to be hooked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've all seen people giving their pet dogs the same food they eat, right? And then they get fat and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's not like the animals are refusing it. You know what I'm saying to you? Animals they're not going to refuse it. Some do in some situations, but on the whole, generally, if animals hungry enough, they'll eat shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say something. So I had a conversation with I'm not going to name names, but I had a conversation with somebody, and it was very disturbing for me personally. And it was a high-profile Breatharian, the high-profile now, and they, they compared people that aren't Breatharians to animals. And I'm like, you know what? Then I'm a fucking animal because to me, they just do that. Like I said, if you was to give an animal cooked food, they're not going to turn it down.
Right.
It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. We're all the same when it comes to this hunger, when it comes to this drug thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? There is no animals are worse or animals are better. We're all the damn same when it comes to the drug thing, man.
And you don't stand up here saying anything judgmental or trying to separate yourself from other people like this individual seemed to be doing.
No, at the end of the day, I know as heck, and I know I've got shit to deal with now. I deal with shit on an everyday basis, and that's what makes me an awesome coach. Not because I live in this dream world where I can talk about every aspect of the fantasy. No, I deal with real shit.
Right.
I've been doing that for nearly 2 decades, man. I've been there. The worst, the highs and the lows. I've been through hell and back about 8 times. I've earned my stripes, you know what I mean? So that's why I can say what I say. And I know a lot of it is my personal thing. And I put on my Facebook, this is my personal thing. But if my life experience can enhance yours, then that's a good exchange. And that's what being a coach is.
I like
saying
that.
to you, it's not swaying you one way or the other. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to be my own universe first and foremost, and to up. It's like me when I talk to you. I'm not trying to pull you into my universe. I'm respecting you as your own god of your own universe, and me over here, a god of my universe, and me and you are just rapping.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you don't send your nuclear warheads my way, I'm not going to send any nuclear warheads your way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
And that's it. End of story. I'm not trying to pull you into, because I'm doing this, you've got to do it too. And if you don't want to do it, you're stupid. Or you're an animal.
It's like little kindergarten-ish behavior.
Isn't it just?
Yes.
Isn't it just? It is. It's exactly that. Schoolboy crap.
Yeah.
Schoolyard.
Yeah. Well, I think you don't operate with any real insecurities. Not to say that you're not, you don't have fears and doubts like everyone else, but you don't operate from those places, it seems. Like you're not trying to validate or defend anything.
No, because I know it's so fragile.
Yeah.
I know this game is so fragile and it can change. It's like the wind. It can change at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And then where are you? You write a book about it after 2 weeks, and then the wind changes direction. You know what I mean? The wind changes direction. You're stuffed. You got to write another book now saying, well, what happened was, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
you got to be fluid, man. Bruce Lee was right. You got to be like water.
Yes.
This thing is tough, man. this thing is tough because the ego will say to you, right, you gotta do this, and everyone's got to follow you, and blah blah blah. I mean, I'm Aries, right? I'm Aries, so I'm a leader. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like I have to lead myself, because I don't want to make you, Ronnie, a sheep. So this leader here has a follower. I don't want to make everybody else my sheep just so I can satisfy my Aries nature. I have to say, no, that's not what I want to do, because at the end of the day, if I'm occupied shepherding the sheep, then I'm not actually taking time to deal with myself that's going on at the same time. So there could be a revolt going on within myself that's not getting dealt with, while I think I'm being a badass because I've got 4,999 friends on Facebook. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
And that's to me, that's deep, because I'm trying to find other people like that. You know what I'm saying to you? Those are the people that I vibe with. Those are the people that I want to have everlasting friendships with. You know what I mean? Those people that are quite happy to be their own universe. And to occupy their own space. Me and my wife, we've only come across few people like that. And but trust me, Ronnie, she's witnessed these so-called snakes. You know what I mean? She's seen the people that try to maneuver their way to me, around me. You know what I mean? But, you know, the people that we gravitate to are the people that want to be authentic. Yes. That don't want to do the things that they hate and then be assholes for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That take it out on other people because they're doing stuff they don't really want to do. We don't want to do, I mean, my coaching game is having to change because I don't want to coach the way the culture dictates. You know what I mean? A lot of people, when they come for coaching with me, they want to dictate how it goes. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to play that game because I know it's a totally different thing. I've got to do my thing. I've got to be authentic, and I've got to tell it as it is. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and that's the beauty of this conversation. You've done just that, and that's who you are, and I really appreciate that so much. And I feel like this is the perfect point to hit the conclusion.
To get rid of me, huh?
Well, you know, to hit that stop button. We are. You know, it's funny. Most of the interviews are about 60 minutes, so we've actually gone 45 minutes above and beyond, and I'm very happy we did. Because I mean, like I said, this conversation and to have you on, it's a huge honor for me. It's a privilege, but it's also an exploration into a phenomena that is nothing short of a miracle, but you being the one to answer the call and to live it, again, is why I was so fascinated by your experience. And I think that's why people listening would be so fascinated too, because it's not about you. It's about a reflection of human potential and what's possible when we do align with our heart's desire and we do surrender to the body's intelligence and we ultimately become more authentic. What's possible for our life when we dedicate ourselves to that? So,
man, can I say something before we go off the air?
Yes, sir.
There's a group called Master Fast System. I'm not into the system so much, but the group as a whole, they look like wonderful people to me. And for me, it's so refreshing and it's an honor that they're even out there, that they kind of support the whole fasting, dry fasting thing. You know what I mean? As a way to cleanse. There's a guy called Gino something. I don't know where he's from, but there's a guy called Gino something. And but I give them a big shout out because I can't say a lot more on that group, but I kind of don't want to cloud it up, But years ago, man, when I was around, there weren't nothing. There wasn't anything for people like me or that wanted to do what I was evolving to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to give them a big shout out. And there's also one of the things that what me and my wife are really into in terms of self-help is the whole frequency thing, the 432-528 hertz frequency thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's been very helpful, especially for my wife. And there's a guy called Oliver Riz. It's a Hungarian guy. One of the guys on my Facebook has pointed me out to him, and his music is very soothing. It's piano guy, and it's apparently the instruments are set at 432 and 528, and it's stuff like that. Through the people on that I'm connecting with now, I'm being exposed to these things. You know what I'm saying? That me and my wife are into, that we're investigating and we're experimenting with. And I just want to give those guys, a shout out to for sharing,
Mm-hmm. Thank
So
you.
I wanted to pass that on because, for us, it's important that we get together and share.
Yes.
And if that sharing gets too big, then yes, exchange. Exchange something, whether it's money or barter. You know what I mean? So that exchange covers it. Don't consume people.
Share. I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I want to kind of nurture that within myself. So, you're never too big to learn in my eyes. You're never too big to learn. But anyway, I'm rambling now.
No, it's perfect. It's great for me. I'm taking a lot of this in too for my own experience and development.
Right. I mean, even you, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
You may not know it, but I've actually watched you too. I've watched you evolve.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it's like there's not a lot of people creating the avenue for people like me to express. There's not a lot of people like you holding space. I'm not good at articulating stuff, and there's not a lot of people like you that can help me bring out and articulate what in all of this. And even, sometimes you may not get the exchange back, but you have to adapt in some way or just don't do it. But you have to understand there's not a lot for people like us, for the genuine people. There's not much out there, man. And you're providing something that is invaluable. And, you only, like me, you only find that out when you're gone. You don't miss the water until the well runs dry. You know what I'm saying? People ain't going to tell you, oh man, thank you so much. Only I quit. Screw this.
Right.
And you're gone. Are people going to say, man, I really love that radio show you used to do?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
So hang in there. If that's the case, hang in there. But I can tell you, man, from my heart, game recognized game. I'm so grateful for you.
Oh man, I really, really appreciate that. My heart is totally open receiving those words and that acknowledgement, and game recognized game, respect begets respect, and I appreciate your respect, and I have the utmost respect for you, and I just, I'm here to support you, and the type of people that are in my circle are those same type of people, as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this all transpires, and I guess it'll be revealed to us as we go along.
Is what it is, man. It is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's going to be beautiful. The worse it gets, the more beautiful it's going to be. The more beautiful the victory.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Wow, what a great... on that note, wow. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Man, thanks for having me. Likewise. So, man, laters. Goodbye. Likewise. So, man, laters. Goodbye.